All right, Shalom. Kahalagimla. Allah Yanawa Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakakadash. Honors unto you, others of all sorts of great millstone, peace, mercy, and respect unto the elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakakadash. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, you Israelites, and your descendants who have been scattered among all these nations, and the Spirit bear witness in these last days, arising out of sleep in these last days. Because that is exactly what has been required of us, is to awake out of sleep. Romans 13 and 11, now knowing the time, now is our salvation nearer than we have ever believed. All right. This is our 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 34 says, awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of the Most High. I speak this to your shame. Let me read this again. This is our 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 34. All right. It says, awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of the Most High. I speak this to your shame. Because part of our having the knowledge and understanding of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, it is the application of balance, balancing things out. Because without balance, shit just does not work. Okay? Without good and evil, imagine how this world will be. All right? You might just imagine if there was no good and evil. If this whole thing, the creation of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai was only just one-sided. All right? Where will be the appreciation of the establishment of the kingdom be? All right? And the earnest expectation, there would be no form of us expect. We will not be expecting Yahushua to return and be worshiping the Heavenly Father through Yahushua. This will not be. All right? We would have never known. Okay, the sheer excellence. Okay, and how important it is to know who Yahushua is and who the Most High is. That fear will not even exist. That appreciation on this level, the level that is going to be once the kingdom be established, it would be a different ball game altogether. All right, let me get this in Proverbs 11. And Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 1 says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. The Most High is all about balance. That's why when we suffer, we go through sufferings, through trials and tribulations, day in and day out. But that does not mean throughout 24/7, throughout all the year in and year out, you're just going to be continually be in sorrow. It doesn't work like that. Okay, He always make a way for us to escape, even throughout all these different diverse temptations, all these different hells that we be catching, brothers. Again, we catching. Beginning with the apostles on down, as they've been showing, okay, the integrity and the Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai dealing with them. All right, they've shown, okay, they've been lasting, they've been out there and still going strong because of what Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. He knows. Let me get this scripture very quick. All right, let me get this one very quickly. Even Job said it, look, man, shall we only receive only the good, but not the evil now from Yahweh? All right. Let me see. There's a Philippians chapter 4, verse. There's a Philippians chapter 4, verse 11 says, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned it whatsoever state I am, wherewith be content. For I know how to be ashamed, and I know how to abound everywhere. And in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. All right. So you're gonna go through all of it. All right. Cause like hey, there's nothing right in this place. Okay. There's nothing right in this place. Okay. Full perfection is yet to be established. Okay. Not as of yet, but we still yet to live in the perfect world. Wherein our dwell of our righteousness, we are yet to live in such a place. Okay, because right now we're here in this place to serve captivity. All right, we were sold to the nations, it says here in the book of Baruch. Okay, let's go to that in Baruch 4. We were sold to these nations. Okay, for our transgressions, because of what we have done. Baruch 4 and verse 6. Instead of verse 5, Baruch 4 and verse 5 says, be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. Yeah. Take this hell, okay, with a smile. Yeah. Because says that in Hebrews, the Most High deals with us as sons and not as bastards. In fact, I'm going to have to get that one next. It says, Baruch chapter 4, verse 5 says, be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath. Ye were delivered unto the enemies. And that's why we must give place to wrath. All right? We're not here to be avenging our own selves. Okay? Yahweh Shai does all the judging. And Yahweh will do the ultimate judging at his return. And to those who are going to be his at his return, those who are of the elect at his return, once they get glorified, then will it happen? Will it happen then? Okay, let's get this in Matthew. This is exactly what Yahweh Shai said. All right. So that day has not as of yet come. All right. We're still patiently waiting upon that day. It's Matthew chapter 19 and verse 28. And Yahushua said unto them, verily, verily, I say, says Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. But right now, through the word, judgment has been handed down. Judgment has been handed down right now. And that's the difference. That's the kind of balance and the application of balance that we must also keep in mind. Okay, we judging through the Spirit, through the word of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, not carnally. We should not base our judgments, our ruling, about the way we look at things. It should not be led by the flesh, being carnally minded without dealing with certain situations, but be spiritual. Because this is what Yahushua said. Okay. This is St. John chapter 12, verse 48. He that rejecteth me and receive not my words, have none says, have one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day. No, and we are in the last days right now. Let me get another one. There's Matthew chapter 12, verse 37. It says, for thy words thou shalt be justified. Let me start at verse 36. Matthew chapter 12, verse 36. But I say unto you that every idle word a man shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For thy word, says, for by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. All right. Going into whether you're going to receive, the word from the servants of Yahweh Shai or not. Whatever statements that you make, whatever decisions that you come up with, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when the word gets fulfilled, the famine of the word comes, and then judgment starts to rain down as waters. Whatever stands that you took, you're gonna have to see through. Whether when you have rejected Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai, you failed to confess Yahweh Shai, you failed to believe in Yahweh Shai, you're just gonna have to meet your demise. You're gonna have to get your reward, and then you're gonna receive that reward at the end of the day. Revelation 22. Verse 12 says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. It says, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and that they may enter through the gates into the city. It says, verse 15, for without are dogs, sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and adulterers, whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. See, these are the ones who are going to be cancelled out, those who are most certainly not going to make it, because they failed to apply that balance. Because you can also get, let me get this in Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 17. Let's get this in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 17. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 17 says, be not over righteous. Let me see. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 16 says, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Be not over wicked. It says, be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? Verse 18, it is good that thou shouldest take hold of this. Yea, also from this withdraw thine hand. It says, also from this withdraw not thine hand, for he that feareth the Most High shall come forth of them all. Okay, the snare of being overly much zealous, it can actually happen. When you go through the scriptures, you look up the word zeal. All right. At different instances, it's been translated with different meanings. Okay, in fact, let's get this in Romans. All right, let's go to Romans. Let's get this in Romans 10. Now let's get the scripture now in the book of Romans, chapter 10. All right, let's go straight into Romans 10 and look up that word up, Zeal. So Romans 10 verse 1 says, brethren, my heart, it says, brethren, my heart's desire. All right, Romans 10 and 1 says, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer for the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have the zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Yeah, that zeal is over there. All right, it is there, all right. But the problem is the application of that zeal. Okay, it should not be misdirected. Okay, but it must be on point. It must be on point. Okay. And now let's go to that Strong's definition. All right, let's play that again. And now let's go to that Strong's definition. All right, says what? Zealous. All right, this is Strong's G2 2204. All right, and when you look up that, we do a word search. All right, don't want to make this video long, somewhat of an impromptu. All right, it says you also get this translated in the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 45. All right, let me just read this. This is a book of Acts. Let me go into it in Acts. I'm going to get some few precepts and close off. All right, let's go to this in the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 45. Let me see. Let me just go to the point. All right, it's Acts chapter 13, verse 35. All right, it says, but when the Jews saw the multitude, these were who? These were the Israelites, foreigners, returning unto their inheritance, unto their nationality. But these ones who have always kept, were kept within the laws, the commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. They do not look at them as no longer being welcomed. Going back to the periods of what happened with Israelites being Hellenized. All right, they still had that resentment for them because we're those who died for the laws of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. There were those who ended up taking a covenant with the heathens. It's Acts chapter 13, verse 45. It says, but when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Blaspheming. All right. So when you look up the word here in Acts chapter 13, verse 45, the word envy goes back, is Strong's. Let me go to it. This is exactly the same word. You look it up. But in other instances, it was translated as what? As zeal. Okay. But it here in Acts chapter 13, verse 45, it's been translated as what? As envy. It is what is now out of balance. Okay, it is now out of balance. That's what happens when things get out of control. All right, when it gets out of control. Okay, that's what we must always, all right, have that balance. Okay, have that balance in this walk, in this path. Because without the application of balance, things can just simply go wrong. Okay, horribly, they can go wrong. All right. No matter the intentions, whatever the primary intentions would have been, but things can actually get ugly. All right. They can actually do. All right. And another one here is, I believe, is same thing with Romans 13:13. It says, "Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy." All right, and that with this is the same Strong's definition. Okay, when zeal turns into envy, when zeal is out of balance, it's no longer any of any use. Okay, it becomes useless. The same thing in 1 Corinthians 3:3 says, "For ye are yet carnal. For us there is among you envy and strife and divisions. Are ye not carnal and walk as men?" That's when you fail to do what? To always be minding things which are of the Lord, things which pertains unto salvation, things which edify. All right. So let me get that precept. All right. When he speaks about, let's go with this. Is 1 Corinthians 10. 1 Corinthians 10, 1 Corinthians, let me start this one. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 26 says, "How is it then, brethren, when ye come together, everyone have a psalm, have a doctrine, have a tongue, have a revelation, have an interpretation, let all things be done unto edification." 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 23, "All things are lawful to me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not." It's all about having that application in this walk, in this path. Okay, that application is highly important. All right, that zeal, when it gets out of control, when it's not in tune with the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, it is not in line with the Harakak. All right, it gets translated into a different meaning, and effects of it are horrible. All right, they are horrible. All right, horrible. There's another one. Is let me see. There's 2 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 7 says, "And not by this," it says, "and not by his coming only, but by the consolation." In fact, let me just go straight into it. 2 Corinthians chapter 7. I'm gonna start at verse let me start here. There's a 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 5 says, "For when we were come into Macedonia, our flesh had no rest, but were troubled on every side, without were fightings, within were fears. And nevertheless, the Most High confirmed those that were cast down, comforted us by the coming of Titus." Says verse 7 for verse 7, 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 7. "And not by his coming only, but by the consolation wherein he was comforted in you." It says, when he told us, "Your earnest desire, your mourning, your fervent mind toward me, so that I rejoice the more." And when you look up that word fervent, let me see, fervent mind, it goes back to what, to that zeal, the same way, the same word strong Z 2202 it's like a 2205. Okay, that zeal, Zalama, I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me just try to play this back. Okay. Zealous. All right, zealous. All right, zealous. All right, it is just the same word, but when it's misapplied, all right, when it's when it's out of order, all right, Proverbs 11:1, the false balance is an abomination to the Lord. All right, it gets translated into what, into a envy, all right, envy, strife, indignation. Here in these are Hebrews. Let me see. It's Hebrews chapter 10, verse 27. But in certain, it says, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, we shall devour the adversaries. And that's the same Strong's definition. All right. Another one is James chapter 3, verse 16. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and says of James chapter 3, verse 16. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. Because that zeal, when it's out of order, it comes a pain in the ass. Even near to the brothers next to you, or to the men who are next to you. When that zeal is out of order, it becomes a pain in the ass. All right. Let all things be done as unto what? Edification. We must learn, even I myself must learn to apply what? Balance. All right. We must always be mindful. Am I being moved by the Spirit of Yahweh, or am I speaking as a man doing things carnally? All right. And with that, all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the others apostles of great millstone. All right, the others on down salutation to the sincere Akimothea was sincerely laboring doing the work of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakatham. All right. Shalom.